There we go. That's it. We got you. All right.
Perfect.
So hopefully that beautiful smile will be on the YouTube thumbnail when it gets shared out here later on today, and
Perfect.
it's gonna go onto the Kong Family Show YouTube channel, and it'll be available for you to share around if you'd like to. And
Hmm.
yeah, I know we'll be sharing it around. It's going to get out there. You're going to be famous. You're going to be a rock star. Everybody's going to be reaching out to you from all over the place because, hey, I saw you on that Kong Family Show.
Yes, you did.
So I want to just welcome everybody that's going to be filing in. That's going to be watching the live feed on the Kong Family page, and then everybody that's going to be seeing this as time goes by. I just want people to know what we are and who we are. We are the Kong family. And I love to tell people, they wonder why I call it Kong's water. Just because it's pronounced Kongan, not Kangen. And if that beautiful lady in the machine, if she said Kangen water 9.5, well, guess what? That big gorilla wouldn't even exist. But I always say, how do you think that big gorilla got so big? He's out there in the jungle. He's out there drinking from the base of that roaring waterfall, and that's Kong's water right there in nature. And we're lucky enough to get it from our lightning bolt in a box. But we are the Kong family, and we have this really simple goal. We just want to change the world. And a lot of people giggle about that. They think that's a humorous goal. But the truth is, it's a dead serious goal, and it's one that starts with ourselves. And we're watching it happen all over the world every single day. Every day I get the grace and the joy and the blessing of being able to share out the examples of how we are changing the world. One glass of 9.5, one lightning bolt in a box, and one incredible, awesome guest and family at a time. So today we have the lovely Miss Kristal Basaraba. She's from somewhere up there in Canada. I don't even know where, so I'm going to have to let her tell you. Where are you, Arnie?
I am kind of right in the middle in the Flatlands, Saskatchewan.
In the
Uh,
Flatlands.
yeah, that's what they call us, because as soon as you cross over from Alberta or Manitoba, which sides us, the land is flat and the roads are straight. All you see is a horizon.
So you're like Thomas down there in Texas, where you can see all the way to the other end of the place by just
Yep.
looking.
Yeah, absolutely. We get
Yeah,
a couple of small rolling hills, but that's about it.
no, that's awesome. Yeah, well, it's been pretty cool watching and listening and learning about your journey. With the Mormon or the morning motivation where we met, and it's a really special place. It's a life-changing thing. I know it's been a huge life changer for me, and the only reason that I know about that place is because I jumped on board the Kong train a couple years ago. And if it wasn't, the motto of this company is change your water, change your life. It's not change your water, change your job. Change your water, change your shoes. No, it's change your water, change your life. And that's what it does. And I know it's changed my life drastically. And so I'm here. I'm excited to have you here to share your story as to what difference has Kong made in your life? What kind of things have you benefited from? Whether it be the water or people that you ran into or any of that kind of stuff. But to start things off, I want to just ask you what I love to ask everybody, and that is how, when, and why did you get involved with Kong's water, and were you a skeptic like I was?
Well, I guess my adventure into something other than 9 to 5 working for the man started back in 2001. And I always tried something. I always was like not convinced, but I saw the passion in things easily. I was never a skeptic. I always knew there was more to what we have been indoctrinated into us, what we've been trained to think and do and follow. And so I was always searching for something, and it was never me searching for a quick fix or a quick rich or anything like that, because I knew that there was always time invested, but I never personally invested. But it all started for me, and I believe it was the end of September. I saw an ad from Caitlin, and just honestly, the way she worded that ad, I was hooked. Like, she spoke to my soul. She spoke to everything that I had always had intentions for since I started trying with my own businesses in 2001. And she was just, what she said in that ad, just, I gravitated right to her. It was actually, I couldn't sleep that night. This was like 1:30, 2 in the morning. And she posted this ad with a link, and I clicked on the link, and all of a sudden I see all these testimonies. And I'm the kind of person that I'm an empathic person. And so I could feel their passion through these videos, and that's what grabbed me. And so I messaged her, and the next day she got back to me, and we just kind of started talking, and she was just asking me questions. What have you done in the past? And just really started a bit of a friendship there. And the main thing that grabbed me, other than her post, was the fact that she instilled the family unit that is with Kangen and Magic, and, you know, and the company and the business and the people. And it was that family that I was searching for, other than my blood family. Mm-hmm. And it took me a while to move forward with getting a unit for myself. I wanted to pay a little bit of debt off first, just so I didn't overwhelm myself. And I did end up having to take out a small little loan to get the unit, but I knew at that point, and I hadn't done a ton of research. I'd only done a little bit. And I knew at that point, though, that I'd come across something that was pretty spectacular. And I just said to my husband, I said, whether you're on board or not, this is a debt I'll take to myself. You know, like, I'll pay the debt, I'll pay the bills. And it's not more a debt. I kept telling him, like, but I'm investing in us. And so I waited a bit and just ended up started sporadically joining the morning motivation. And it started at about, you know, like 1 or 2 times a week. And then I didn't for a couple weeks, because I had hit a really hard time where I had a whole bunch of unforeseen passings in my life. Some really close friends, their parents had passed away. My best friend's nephew lost his battle with mental health. And it really it felt like I had taken 20, 30 steps forward. And all of a sudden, this 1 week set me back. And I felt myself spiraling down. And then I told myself one morning, I said, you're not doing this to yourself. Get back on those morning talks. And as soon as I did, it just started going up again for me, honestly. I got back into writing my morning gratitude and rereading gratitude that I had started back in October when I was talking with Caitlin, and she had sent me the magic and a nice small rock and a little book. And I was like, what is this all about? And so I started reading the book, and I found where the rock came into play, and I found where the book came into play. And that change in my life was just something like I'd never seen before. I knew that gratitude and positivity and the universe and all that worked together, but I'd never incorporated in my life. And never in my life have I seen such an amazing change in something so simple as being thankful, you know? And it just kind of started snowballing from there. February, I started hopping on every day, Monday to Friday. I find my weekends I haven't hopped on as consistently with the weekends, but Monday to Friday, that gets me started. That gets my engine going. Makes me think of my grandma in the mornings, who passed away in 2005. She was like a mom to me. She always said, you know, you ask the Lord and you share with the Lord, and the Lord will give you what you need. And she would always follow that with her classic joke. I always prayed for patience. He gave me 9 kids. So I just really try to take, you know, the life lessons and these new words of advice that you and Thomas have given. And not everything you guys say resonates within me, but 98% of it just really hits home. And then I got my water machine right after Christmas. And I had been experiencing all my life stomach issues. When I was 9 years old, actually starting at about 7.5, 8 years old, I was complaining of stomach aches every day. I'd come home at least 3 times a week with stomach aches. My mom would take me to the doctor, and the doctor would just be like, she's just got a nervous stomach. And that's how they explained. They're trying to say I had anxiety back then. Everybody's all on, like anxiety is a well-known thing now. And he kept trying to say, nope, that's all that it is. That's all that it is. And finally, my mom said, look, she's missing 3 to 4 days of school every week. It's got to be more than that. She, she's not having problems at school, blah, blah, blah. Finally, after about 3 months of tests, they finally said, okay, let's do an ultrasound. And they found 21 gallstones in my gallbladder. At 9 years old, I had to go in and have my gallbladder removed, because they said if she's got that many in there right now, they're going to come back. So they just took the whole gallbladder. So now I'm sitting and healed well, no problems with that. But then from that age till today, my body does not produce enough bile. So I have to really watch what I eat and ingest and drink and stuff like that. And I've tried this and I've tried that. And I did find some relief with some things, but it wasn't consistent. And then I started falling into premenopause probably about 5 years ago. And everybody's like, oh, you're too young for that. Well, my genetics is all the women are done around 40, 45. So it's about, I'm 37, 38 this year. So it's right on par with all the other women in my life. And so I'm not a pill taker. So I didn't want to be taking pills. I don't want to be doing that on a daily basis. I wanted to find something that internally helped reset my system. And all these fancy schmancy businesses that I tried to join were just a placebo. It helped, but it didn't help, But I've been consistently drinking the water, and I've always been one to gradually, like you guys recommend, gradually work yourself up to 9.5. And I've always been nervous. So I always took things even more slower, I was at 8.5 for probably about 2-3 weeks. And then I went up to 9 for about 2-3 weeks. Because my daughter had jumped it up to 9.5. Do you remember the other morning I said that I had that rash around, and it felt like a belt all around me? And you told me to go and get that 2.5 water on a cloth, wipe yourself down. Within an hour, it was all gone. And so I was just like, everything that this water has, every time it's touched me, it's helped, And so my whole family is at 9.5 now. We are using it more consistently. It's still my husband's. I'm always like, no, go get that Kangen water. We need that water. We put the water in the fridge so that he remembers to take drinking water, because he likes water out of the fridge, not out of the tap, even though it's better, right out of our tap with the machine. But I think the biggest thing that has really just made my heart so happy is my middle child. She started experiencing the same stomach problems I did. And it's been about 2 years. And when she started, at first I gave it a little bit of time, just kind of monitored what she was eating. And it seemed to be the same things that I would eat would trigger her stomach issues. And so we went right to the doctor, and I said, look, this was my past, because it wasn't the same doctor I had as a child. I'm in a different city now. So can we just jump all the other hoops and go right to having an ultrasound done and check her gallbladder out? And doctor was right on board. And sure enough, she has gallbladder issues. She doesn't have stones, but they said she has a sludgy gallbladder. So it produces this product that I believe that we've kind of realized that once that sludge passes through the secretion gland, it blocks it. It doesn't allow the bile to escape into the stomach, and she gets belly aches, not as consistently as I did. So we feel like that sludge moves around. Well, she has been on the water now as well since February, and I've had one stomach ache complaint since February. And that day that she had that stomach ache complaint was because she just pounded back like Skittles and cheesies and like all that food that I'm like, no. So she knows. And so the water is changing my life. And I just can't express how happy I am that a simple glass of water has made such a world of difference for me. And I'm sharing it with friends, and just really talking to them is like, oh, you seem to be so much, like better lately, meaning like my stomach's not hurting as much, and I'm not complaining of my hot and cold flashes or night sweats or lack of sleeping properly. And I know when I don't have enough water because my sleep isn't as efficient. So like I've had people starting to notice. And my husband, and the other day, he was like, well, I guess this was a couple of months ago. I got a really bad time frame memory. But he was just like, what have you, like, are you honestly, this is all you've been doing, Kristal? And I said, yes. Like, I'm drinking my water. I started having a glass of water by my bed every morning. I will sit up. I have my morning motivational on. The video's not on because I look like horrible. But I got my glass of water there. I'm listening to everybody start their day. I say my gratitude. I've got a list of things that I got to do in the morning. And I said, honey, like, I'd love for you to start doing this. You see it working for me. So what makes you think it wouldn't work for you? He's just like, he's a little more like, okay, well, maybe, okay, well, I see it's working for you. He's not as much of a, let's start doing this and push, push, push like me. He's more of a passive guy. And I'm like, let's go do this. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind, and I have to say my journey has just begun. And for those of you who are just listening and unsure about things and really like, really, can water really change you? I have been a part of, I think I counted it the other day, 7 or 8 businesses, all with the same goal of changing someone's life. And all that help and that talk and that speech is, it's like I said, I do jump quickly to things because I feel the passion in others. But everything that I have tried has not made such a drastic change as this family, this water, and this group. I started with working on me. I have seen a cycle within myself where it wasn't a good cycle. I would boil up to a point and I'd explode, and I'd take it out on everybody that I blame everybody, and why me, why this, I've paid my dues, blah, 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 blah. And then that vent session would be over and I'd start to lull and the circle would drop down to the bottom and I'd find my happy spot and I'm living my life. And then all of a sudden that snowball effect would start again. And this gratitude and this family and this talk and this motivation and everything there, that is what changed my life. That is what has made a massive difference. And I can't express enough how just the handful of people that I have met only online has made more of a difference in my recent life than my best friends, than my closest family. Even to my husband, he was like, I don't think I could have ever done that for you, because there was something that you guys gave me that I needed. I always say you were a piece of my puzzle that completed things, and go back to Jerry Maguire, you complete me, so I just can't thank everyone enough. And everyone's words, even though it can be repetitive, it's repetition, consistency, persistence. It's a part of the key to life, man. It sure is. So I guess that kind of, I could tell, it has helped my children too. That one story I've shared where one morning I heard my son getting frustrated and my daughter was like, hey, bud, what's wrong? And he mumbled something that was bugging him. I think it was actually his socks. He couldn't get his sock on properly. Things as small as that really would ruin his day before. And she said, hey, let's take a deep breath.
You don't want to start your day off with those kind of intentions, right? That just took my heart. You know, it's just like your guys' words have made a difference in my 10 and 11-year-olds' minds and way of thinking. And it just has instilled in me that this is all worth it. You know, this is all worth it. Me being on this Zoom, way out of my comfort zone, but it's worth it. You know, it's helping me grow and advance. And for those listening that are still on the fence, you know, you don't have to buy the machine right now. Just start joining the group and just listen. You be a fly on the wall and just listen. You know, I wish I could be a fly on the wall in all your guys' worlds, because there's so many little pieces that, you know, we miss once the cameras are off, that, you know, can even help advance others. So I started as a fly on the wall, and now I'm starting to talk, and my butterfly wings are starting to grow, I guess you could say. So I just want to thank, and your HooooDeeeHoos every morning. I'm like, yes, that's the jump to get going, and your hugs, and I just feel your love and your vibrations. So I want to thank you guys for everything. So
Yeah. Hey, Rachel, you had something to say about that. You commented. What were you gonna? Why don't you bust out whatever magic you were going to talk about, or whatever magic you got from Kristal there?
There we go. I was trying to unmute there. Oh, I was just saying that I could relate to her when she said, you know, you were in that state where you were just like, I'm blowing up at everything around you, right? I can totally relate to that, because I was in really poor mindset before I discovered the water. So it's definitely changed a lot of things in my life as well. So, and that's a really awesome story about your daughter. Like that's pretty incredible. Like, you know, maybe it's gonna help her out, right? So, I mean, she's only been on it for a short time, but I believe it's gonna help her.
Absolutely, you guys. The thing that's, I think that you coming in here today, Kristal, you're going to change. This is going to change a lot of people's lives as they start to see this, and when you actually get the recording and you get a chance to see yourself and hear yourself again, you're going to realize just how much power you have. You're going to critique yourself. You're going to be like, oh, you know, look at that, my one hair's out of place, or whatever. Look at my cheek, that little dimple there. You know, I got to work on that. But you know, you're gonna end up having fun with this and being happy that you did it, because, you know, like you said, you got to try and step out of your comfort zone, because if anybody, all of us, if we want to grow, we have to step out of our comfort zone. We've got to step out of that circle that we've always been in, and move towards something better. And this company is such an incredible vehicle for people to be able to do that. And when I say that our goal is to change the world, I'm not joking, even in the slightest. I am literally as serious as a heart attack, because we are changing the world. It's happening. And, you know, even for yourself, the way that Kangen Water has changed your life is very similar to the way it's changed Rachel's and mine and Roger's and Kim's and Brandon's and Carolla's and Michelle that's on here, that's on the live feed. Want to say hi to all you guys and say thanks for being here. But I think your story kind of hits something on the head that has been one of my big problems with doctors. I call them doctors because, you know, and anytime you see me mention a story about a doctor who is not really a doctor, what he is a legalized drug dealer, and he's practicing medicine. He's not practicing being a doctor. If I put parentheses around the word doctor, what I'm talking about is not a doctor. They are literally violating their very oath, which the very first part of the Hippocratic Oath is first do no harm. And the truth of the matter is every doctor that's prescribing these poisons, that's exactly what they're doing. They're doing harm. Every time they go in and cut out a young girl's gallbladder, instead of giving her what she needs, because the truth of the matter is when you were 9 years old, if you would have had Kangen water, those gallstones would have went away. Your body would have fixed itself, because that's what our body does when it gets this water. And it's such an interesting little conundrum of things that I've learned is that, you know, water on one hand, you got to have it because you can go maybe a week without it. And if you're not dead, you're wishing to God you were dead. But on the other hand, it's killing you. It's a very slow acidic poison that slowly causes your body to eat itself throughout its entire life. And the thing about Kong's water, this is a little thing for people to try and chew on. Kong's water isn't H2O. It's H2 negative OH for about 48 hours after it comes out of that little lightning bolt in a box. And that is what's happening is your body is actually getting the ingredients that it needs. It's getting the electricity, the hydrogen, the hydration, and the alkalinity by default. Because this alkalinity is created by default. It's not being created by adding some chemicals or anything like that. It's being created by the default of the hydrogen being created by splitting the molecule. And I had somebody say to me the other day that, you know, because I was recommending the protocol that I recommend to a lot of people that are having really bad issues, that they need to drink the 11.5 water. And I've heard people say you don't want to drink that because it's too alkaline. And what people have to understand is that when the water is turned alkaline by default because of electricity, you can't get too much of it. It's not possible. And, you know, I've been drinking the 11.5 water since the very beginning. And I've drank lots and lots of it. And Bill Powers even said on the show that if he had it to do all over again, he would have just skipped right over the 9.5 and he would have been drinking the 11.5 right out of the chute until his cancer was gone. And, you know, so, but the point is that, you know, you as a young girl, the doctors, they'd have no clue. They don't know what they don't know, right? And we didn't know. I didn't know. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was the craziest, stupidest thing in the world for 6 months. And then an incredible story came along from the amazing Brittany Dykes, and she put her story out there, and it changed my world. And so that's one of the reasons why I like to have people on here that have to be able to share these stories, because I believe in the old, you know, the concept from network marketing that facts tell and stories sell. It's the stories that brought me around. It wasn't any faction figures or studies or data or any of that. It was an incredible story from somebody like you who simply told their story. And I think that the story that you just told this morning is really gonna impact other ladies that end up listening to this, and even hopefully some you know, stubborn men too. They'll actually pull their heads out. It'll make a difference for them, you know. And so, yeah, really, really great story hearing that. And I'm really happy to. So as far as your health now, though, you don't have your gallbladder for a long time. And you know, I'd imagine that losing your gallbladder at such a young age gave you some issues during your life. Hang on one second. Here's my sweetie. This is my sweetie Tina right here. She's my better 99.9%. And she's got her Kong's water and heading to work.
My egg. My chicken egg.
Love you, honey. Have a great day. But yeah, we have chickens and kitties and bunnies and yeah, she's amazing. I got to tell you guys, I don't know, some of you have heard my story and her story, but she's been working at the local grocery store for 29 years. And in 29 years, she's called in sick 3 times. I think that really pretty much says everything that needs to be said about my sweetheart. But anyway, back to your situation. You probably were suffering from this, that, or the other. I'm really kind of curious how that went for you, being without this important component of your body that the doctors just decided to go ahead and remove it. What was it like for you from that younger age to now, to the point where you got Kong water in your life?
Well, At first, it's after you healed and I was able to move around properly again, they said, like, I kept getting pains in that lower right area. And for the first while, you're like, okay, you're still healing. And okay, well, you know, as a 9, 10-year-old, I figured the doctors know absolutely everything, right? They're doctors, and that's what's put into our minds, right? Like you were saying. um, it's I can't eat greasy foods. I can't eat fast foods. If I do, I'm like, I sit there and I think, do I want to deal with a stomach ache today? You know, like that's how I would always, and I still am trying to get out of that mind frame because the stomach aches have really slowed down. And I think I have them when I don't have enough water. I know that what I eat is definitely going to affect me. But when I'm more consistent and drinking more of the water daily, I'm able to have those foods that I couldn't. The complex carbs, the pastas, the breads, crackers, things like that, the heavier carbs were always so hard for my stomach to digest. And so I would either avoid eating it or just moderation, right? And so I found I had to skip out on a lot of the foods that I thoroughly enjoyed growing up. But from teenage years to today, absolute 180, absolute 180. I would have a meal and it would put me in the bathroom for an hour. Almost like I had like a Crohn's disease effect, you know, like it borderlined that, but it wasn't Crohn's, thank goodness. I would flush right through me. Laxatives, don't need that. Go have a burger and I can clear my system, you know, like that's how my life was. I was never, as a younger kid, obviously I didn't like salads. I wanted the foods that everybody wants, you know, and it just, so not only stomach wise, but then I would either have the runs or I'd be backed up. I'd get a lot of pain because my bowels were messed. It's just would lead to me, you know, it would start as a stomach ache and move into the bowels, and then all of a sudden my back, and then I'd get cranky and I'd end up getting headaches and things like that. And now it's I'm regular, you know, and TMI, sorry guys, but it's more regular. My system is more settled. I still randomly will get a little bit of a flare up, but it's not as debilitating as it used to be. I would always feel like I'd walk around holding my stomach all the time, and now I don't have to do that as much. You know, it's a huge difference from where I was before. I grew up on well water. I would we lived on an acreage just outside of the small town I lived in, and we had really good well water. They would get it tested every year. Everyone around us seemed to have really high iron content. And our well was the only one in our city that didn't have it. So we had tapped into a really good flow with less iron. And I always felt like I was getting better water, you know, water and, you know, natural and this and that. But I actually went out to where I was before, and I had because I know the people that live there, and I had a glass of water, and it didn't nowhere near as smooth and regular and good as the Kong water, you know. I even blind tested my friend one day. I'm like, here, take a sip of your water bottle. She had Evian water or whatever it was. Take a sip there and have them out of my water bottle. She's like, is this from your house? Yeah, it is. And she's like, oh, taste water. So, and she's like trying to find the words, like she's looking around and how do I describe this? Light water is what she could think of, you know, and exactly, you know, like, and then I started telling her about how the machine processes it and takes it out and alters the hydrogen, the oxygen, the negative OH, and, you know, and all that. And she was just like, wow, that, like, I don't notice things like that. It's, you know, I've seen a couple people, you know, like make a bit of a difference. And so for my stomach, it's improved and I won't go back. I get mad at myself when I forget to grab an extra bottle of water when I leave the house for a longer period of time. One of my good friends was just diagnosed with Hashimoto's. All her life she had been dealing with, you know, like swelling and joint pain, thought it was plantar fasciitis, was dealing with that, tried orthotics, nothing worked. Would do all the stretches and workouts, nothing worked. Finally diagnosed with Hashimoto's. And I was talking to her and I was like, let's get you some Kong water. And so I'm going to get her a jug, and every couple of days, she just lives down the street. I'm going to refresh it and get her some fresh water. And I'm going to have her really just kind of regulate and see how it is, you know, makes a difference for her, and the inflammation that she gets in her joints and her feet, and the fluctuation in the weight that Hashimoto's can do. It's just silent disease to have. And so I'm really excited, and I want to do an update with you guys on that once we've kind of had her on it for a couple of weeks and see if she notices a change. So, because I love doing testimonies. I'm all about testimonies. Oh, I can't hear you talk. Oh,
Got myself muted so that I don't disturb you somehow. But yeah, the stories are awesome, and we would love to hear, you know, when some information comes along that you come up with. I would absolutely love for you to come in here, and you can even just drop in any old time. You know, the show goes on every day, and so if you ever have anything cool to say, you don't have to be the star that day to come on in and be a star. You can just jump on in, and I always try to get to everybody that comes in the room and ask them if they have any questions for the guest or if they have any comments about anything, because that's really what it's all about. We need to continue to share the stories that are going to help people resonate with somebody, because we just never know whose story is going to wake who up. Because somebody might not be affected by my story or Bill's story or, you know, whoever's story, but they're going to be resonating with somebody's story. And so it's just a matter of continuing to be consistent. It's like we talk about all the time in the morning motivation, is that consistency is the key. Like Julio and I always have this running joke about Michael Jordan. I always say that little rascal, he got so good at pushing off because he was always working on pushing off day after day, you know. But yeah, so what about the rest of your family? Like your husband, you said that you were going to get the machine, whether he was on board with you or not. By the way, I want to give you a huge congratulations for that, because there's a lot of people out there that if they can't get the approval from their husband, their mother, their brother, their dad, their friend, then they're not going to do it. And I absolutely have so much respect, especially for wives who tell their husband, hey, you go and stuff it in your ear. I'm getting it. And I don't care what you think, you know. And I've got a dear nephew that's, or not a nephew, but a cousin of mine that's in that process right now. She told her husband, I'd love to have your support, but I'm not asking for your permission. I'm gonna get this machine, and I don't, you know, I'd love to have your support, but I want you to know that I'm gonna get it. And I told her the same thing. I'm so proud of you for having that attitude, because, you know, like we talk about all the time, you can't let other people make decisions for you. You have to make the decisions. You have to take care of you first. Otherwise, you can't take care of other people. If you're allowing your health to go spiraling downhill, how the heck are you going to help your children? How are you going to help anybody around you if you are falling apart? And so that's a huge lesson that I've learned over these last 2 years being part of this family. All of these changes that I've been able to make are because I made this decision. I made this choice to invest into myself, invest into my health. And I tell people every single day, there's absolutely nothing that you can do in this world that is more important for your body than getting Kangen water. And I don't care where people get the machine from. I just care that they get it. If they get it from me, great. If they get it from you, that's terrific too. I don't care who they get it from, just so long as they get it. And that's why I'm doing what I do. That's why I'm so passionate about sharing this, because I understand just how important it is. And I really, truly want to help people. I don't want to see people suffer like my mother suffered. And so that's why it's so important. And I'm so grateful for people like yourself being willing to take some of your valuable time and come share this information with people, because you're going to touch somebody's heart with this. You're going to change somebody's life. And so I'm kind of curious how that relationship, how that all worked out with, you know, between you and your husband when you got the Kangen water machine. Does he drink the water now? Does he share it with people, tell people about it, that kind of stuff? Did he have any kind of health issues that were helped, whether it was something like heartburn or headaches or, you know, who knows? Sometimes we think those things are just normal. It's just normal to have headaches. It's normal to have heartburn. All that stuff's normal. Diarrhea, totally normal, you know. And we don't realize that that stuff is not normal, and until we start learning something like what we've learned. And so what's your story in that department?
Well, I think right before I maybe a couple months prior, again, my time frame and memory is so bad. I remember one night I was just stood in front of my husband and I felt so depleted. I just said, I feel like I need to be doing more. And I looked at him and I said, do you ever feel like you need to do more? Like you need to be somewhere else or doing something else or helping somebody? Like, and he just kind of looked at me so blank, like, no. I was just like, oh, okay, well, here's what I'm feeling. And so I really just opened up to him and I said, I feel like I'm missing something. I'm lacking something. And he was sitting at the computer and I just dropped to the floor and I said, I need to be somewhere else. I don't know, something in me. Like, I really felt like I didn't know if I needed to like leave my family and have a new life, or I needed a new job, or I needed a new pair of shoes. Like, I didn't know where I needed to be at that time in my life. I just felt so out of it. And I just sat down and I said, I need a drive. I need a passion. And he was like, well, you always have had one. I've been in dental since 2000. I started as a dental assistant and I didn't even, my mom said, here's an application for school. I'd been out of school for a year. At that time, I was a single mom. I was 18, 19 years old. You know, like my world, I had a lot on my plate. And my mom just said, what are you going to do with yourself? I don't know. And she gave me an application. I said, let's try it. It's 1 year. And it was it. Like, for some reason, dental became a passion. And so I was an assistant. And then in 2005, I went into a program called dental therapy. There's not many of us dental therapists out there, but it's kind of like a junior dentist. And so I was able to actually do checkups, cleanings, fillings, and most extractions without the 6 to 8 years of dentistry. It was a 2-year program. Awesome. I loved it. And I'm still doing that to today. And so that's always been a passion of mine. But I felt like something else was missing. And so when Jen asked the other day, what is your passion? And I said, it's always been dental, oral health, education, persistence and consistency, you know, like then. And so when I melted that one day and my husband said, but you have oral, you hygiene, you have dental. I said, no, it's something else. And I was just like, I don't know where I need to be. And I've always been one where I have a lot of really good intentions. I've got great ideas. I've got a lot of knowledge, but my follow through has been poor. And I think that's why any of the other businesses that I ever tried to join, I never amounted to anything. I would sell some things. I'd make a couple $100. You know, people would be like, oh yeah, this is fun. And then it stopped because I didn't have the support behind me. You know, like, and I started this And I told my husband, I said, look, I found this. And that night I was up at 2 a.m. and I'm listening to all these testimonies and I'm crying. And I'm just like, I got a pile of Kleenexes next to me and an empty box of Kleenex on the other side. And like everybody's stories just, oh, my heart was just pounding with emotion. And when I showed him, he was like, okay, I can see how this grasped you because I'm an emotional person. My husband, he's emotional, but not like me. And so he was like, okay, you know, and I said, I feel like this is pulling me. But I didn't want to jump into it because everything I tried in the past, and I told him, I said, I'm going to try and listen. I'm going to learn. And I still feel like I don't know enough, you know, but I don't want to jump in right away. But so I started with reading the book. I started with my gratitude. I made the morning motivational more consistent. And when he started noticing a change, he was like, I'm on board. You do what you need to do, hon, because I see you being better. You saw the frustration in me lessen. My approach to dealing with things with kids, they would like literally spilt milk. Boom, you know, like, come on, you guys, you should know better, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm like, okay, let's grab a cloth. And my husband's like, who are you? You know, like, so he has absolutely seen a change. And he goes, I don't know whether to leave it to the morning motivation, your gratitude writings, your morning speeches to yourself, or this water. But the whole thing, you keep doing it because I need you. I don't need that other Kristal. I need this Kristal, you know? So it's definitely, he's seen the change, you know, like he's like, yeah, I'm on board. So keep sharing what you're learning with me, you know? So I'll learn something new one day and I'll be like, oh, guess what? Blah, 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 blah. And he's, oh, okay, that's cool. I printed off a sheet of all the different things that the Kong water can do. And he's like, what? It can do that? You know, and he's battling sleep apnea and he's got a CPAP machine. And he noticed that we noticed it had gotten so severe that he would be laying next to me, and I've got a video recording of it on an old cell phone. I don't even know where it is anymore, but he would lay there and he would be sleeping, and all of a sudden he'd start going and he'd shuffle and reset himself. 5 seconds later and all night long, that is how he slept. He would be asleep on the living room floor 6:37 p.m. because he was so exhausted. We got the CPAP machine. It's made a big difference. And now he is drinking more water and he's having better sleeps. He's still using the machine because I feel like a part of the problem is we're working on some weight loss, and that's putting a lot of pressure on his chest and a lot more, you know, like more pressure because it little more buildup, you know, like weight gain in the face and around the neck as well, which will cause the soft palate in the mouth to drop, which closes the airway. And that's how a lot of the sleep apnea problems are. And that's his symptoms. And so with the water, he's finding more energy. We put it in our coffee. So we're having the Kong water in our coffee. We're using it now for our cooking. That was the biggest thing because the tap we're at, we rent our house right now. It's like this big fancy schmancy tap. I'll actually show you guys because I had a lady going, I don't know how we can hook it up to your machine. And pardon all the dishes because as I said, I'm batching it up right now. So my kitchen's a mess, but that's my water tab. And so to try and get it looks like it's in like a kitchen of a restaurant. So to try to get it onto that, it didn't work. So I've got a tap just on the other side of my kitchen. We hooked it up to that. So now it's just remembering to get water from that tap instead of the main tap is my husband's problem. But no, the kids go there. My daughter goes there. She tells all her friends about it. She'll be 19 right away. And her boyfriend is in kinesiology and he's all about these things. And so he's actually been reading the manual and the book and learning about it. And he goes, I think I might use this at school next year when I got to do like a report on something and we got to pick the topic. I'm like, yeah, man, like spread the knowledge to the youth. So it's been a slow change, because change is always something you got to really remember to do, you know. And it's like flossing your teeth. If you were an avid flosser your whole life, that implementing that into your world and your daily routine, it's difficult, you know. Breaking bad habits is hard. So yeah. But it has definitely made a change, and I love that my daughter and her friends are all like, oh, I'm gonna go get the magic water. That's what they call it, the magic water. So,
you know,
yeah, so my husband definitely has seen all the improvement and is really enjoying it. And when he has his days off, he sits and he listens to the morning motivation with me. And he was floored when I told him the story about what my daughter said to my son. And he's just like, you found that, Kristal, you found that. He reminded me of that night I dropped to the ground and was just like, I need to do more. You found it. And so I made a pact with myself. I'm not jumping in and blowing it out. I need to be a slow progression into, meaning like I need to learn more. I don't want to jump in and overwhelm myself, because I feel like in the past that could have been what deterred me from advancing and moving forward. Some people have a 6-month plan, 1-year plan. I'm going to do a 5 to 8 year plan, because I know with myself, I need to take it with a bit of moderation. I want to learn as much as I can, but eventually I want to retire 5 to 8 years. That's the goal and what I'm projecting out there, you know, like I want to be, or even part-time working, because the drama at work can get to be too much. And, you know, and I'd rather have the HooooDeeeHoos than the, you know, the cranky attitudes at work and patience and my teeth never hurt before you touched them. Wow. Yeah.
I love that. So Rachel, you said you put a comment down in there, and I never opened those up because I don't want to disturb the show or anything, but what was your comment? And you had something to say, so let's hear it. Oh, you're still muted.
I put a few comments in there, actually. He was just kind of going along with the conversation, and when she was talking about the different pH levels, and she was saying like you said you drink 11.5 every day, so I just was wondering, like, how much of it do you drink?
Well, I've got a water bottle that is just shy of a liter, and I'll be honest, I did not drink water before. You know, like if I was thirsty, I'd chug a quick cup, but I would have that heavy feeling in my stomach and it would actually upset my stomach. And so I was just like, no, you know, like I was horrible, and I would drink coffee morning, noon, and night. And that was my liquid consumption. But now I'm for sure, I make sure I'm at least 2 liters a day. I'm trying to do more, and I know we got to do kind of half your body weight in ounces. My daughter doesn't drink juice because it upsets her stomach. She doesn't drink milk because we're both lactose sensitive. So she is way more of a water drinker than I am. And so I feel like that's been why her stomach has been a lot better lately as well. There are a couple other things that I do take personally as well. I do take some CBD hemp drops and things like that too. But I've really been focusing more on trying to reprogram my habits and my pattern, and really put more water around, so that, you know, like there's more water bottles in the fridge filled with the Kong water. I do not let any other bottled water from the store in my house anymore. My mother came from the province over, and she always has to have bottled water because our city water will actually like give her the flu. And I get that when I go to Alberta too. It's just the different processing. Like if I drink their water, I will have 48 hours where I'm hugging her toilet. And then after that, I'm good. But if I'm only there for a weekend, I don't need to be puking the whole time, you know? So when she came in with a case of water, I was like, put that back in your truck and you're drinking Kong water while you're here. She didn't have a single problem with her stomach. And so I was just like, that again solidified that I'm doing something right. So, and I've been telling her about my daughter, and she's just like, wow, just water. And I'm like, yeah, just water, and from our tap, you know? So yeah. And it's 9.5. We gradually worked up from 8.5. And I actually thought I was going too fast. And my daughter was like, well, Mom, it says right here, you only need to do it for a week at a time. I was like, okay. But yeah, so I want to get the shower head because my husband is starting to lose some hair, and he's got really bad eczema, and it's worse when he plays hockey. And I've been noticing some scalp things, almost like I have cradle cap. And I know it's not cradle cap, but that's it. It's not dry scalp. It's not dandruff. Like it's gross. And so what I actually did was I would just wash my hair underneath my Enagic spout, and I'd shower upstairs. You know. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So it's definitely, yeah.
You know,
My little one there in the background.
She's so darn cute. That was cute when she put that little hat on you.
Oh, I know. It barely fits me. Yeah. But the Anespa is amazing, honestly. Like, that was my, like, woohoo, I can't believe we have this in ours, because I was putting my kids in a tub that looked like it was rusty water. So now it's clear, and I do notice, like, I've always had long hair. Like, my hair was down past my butt at one point, and I always lost a lot of hair when I brush it every time I wash it. And I try not to wash my hair every day because you really shouldn't anyways. But I've definitely noticed a big difference with my hair loss from using the Anespa. So definitely recommend
Yes.
that.
And
Yeah,
that's
and
my
the
thing
buildup
too.
could be like what you're talking about. That could be like a buildup of just like iron and stuff. My hair was rusty looking, and my
Yeah.
hairdresser told me, she's like, yeah, it's rust on your hair. And it was like copper looking, and you could really notice it. And it was because of the water before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's made a huge difference.
Are you in
another nice
Alberta?
thing for you to
No, I'm in Ontario, and we're on
Okay.
a well as well. So like, we weren't drinking our tap water at all. We were buying like the big jugs, putting that on the water cooler, and that's what we would drink. And I haven't honestly had a sip of tap water or bottled water since last June or like the end of May. So it's been almost a year where I haven't had it, and I can really notice a difference right away.
Mm-hmm.
Like it tastes disgusting.
It
So,
does, doesn't it?
yeah,
Even bottled
yeah.
water. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
It's
know.
heavy and thick.
Yeah.
Leaves a poor taste on the roof of your mouth and tongue. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, totally. It's crazy, the difference. So, my little one that put the hat on me, she's had the Kangen water since we were giving her formula, and like we gave her the 7, and then we just gradually worked her up, and now she's 2, so she's on the 9.5 as well.
Yeah. Well, and I've got my cousin, and I just started talking to her because she's one that is like, nah, no, I won't believe this. And no, the doctors are going to tell me, you know, but her whole life, every single morning, it's like she has morning sickness. Her whole life, she wakes up and throws up and spends about half hour to an hour in the bathroom every morning. When she was pregnant with her first son, it was worse. And then after her son, it got better. And now she's pregnant again, and it's back. And now she's got massive teeth problems because all that acidity and erosion on her teeth. And, you know, her teeth just keep breaking on her. And so I'm just slowly like, okay, so I came across this amazing water. And so I just slowly like talking with her about it and sharing with her. And she's in Calgary. And so I really want her to give it a try, because I feel like it would make a big difference with her, and because the doctors have tried every single test that they can come across, and nothing. Medicine hasn't helped, and diet hasn't helped. And you know, she was like, well, maybe if I smoke marijuana it'll help, and that didn't help. And you know, like, just trying
No, that just put her to
right?
sleep.
Yeah. Right, give her the munchies.
Yeah, there's a chips.
But so I really am hoping that she will give the water a shot and see if there's a change. I said, yeah, I wish you lived closer. I'd bring jugs of water for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You can always ask somebody to give it to her. I've done that. I had somebody from like, I don't know, probably 9 hours away from me in Ontario, and they asked me if I could give water to somebody that they knew that was closer to me. So I did that. And she was actually cleaning her house with it, amazed by it. So it does help to share it.
Try to seek someone out in Calgary. If anyone in Calgary is listening, message me.
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be lots of people listening. Yep, definitely. Especially when it's going to be on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that the O'Flanagans are up there in Calgary. The O'Flanagan Flames, as I call them. They're in Calgary.
Go Flames,
They'd
go.
be happy to try and hook your friend up if you just shoot them a message, and I'm sure they'll be able to hook you up. You know the O'Flanagans that are in the morning motivation, correct? Tim and
yes, I've seen them in there. Yeah.
Yeah, get a hold of them. Just send them a message. Let them know what you're doing. They'll recognize you in that, because they're always in the morning motivation, and they'll be able to hook you up with that. You know, another just a little tidbit for you in regards to that Inespa. When you get the Inespa, you buy that from yourself, and you're going to get a commission for it. And it also gives you another business position, that when you start getting people involved with the Enagic, you want to sign them up under your Inespa, not under your business, not under your machine. You want to sign them up under your Inespa. And then what happens is each time you get a check, you'll get 2 checks. You'll get one from the Inespa, you'll get one from the machine. So it adds an additional business position that gives you a little bit more money for every machine that you do. And so that's just another one of the little things that makes this company so special, the way they've structured the marketing plan and the compensation plan, so that it gives us a bunch of incentive to go out there and change people's lives. And Tim, you're on here, buddy, on the thing live. So I hope you're hearing this about Kristal. If you can help her friend out up there in Calgary, that would be greatly appreciated. And we do that. If you guys ever know anybody down here in Utardia, specifically anywhere in the Salt Lake Valley, because that's where I live. And if you ever have anybody that needs water, don't you hesitate to put them in touch with me. I'll give them all the water they need. All they got to do is come get it. And when the time comes that they want to get a machine, I'll be letting them know, hey, you got to get a hold of Kristal, you got to get a hold of Rachel, you got to get a hold of Tim or Roger or whoever, and go get your machine from them. I think I've sold more machines for other people than I have for myself. Because I think that it's more powerful to people when they realize that you're telling them all of this stuff and you don't have any kind of monetary gain to be telling them. It's like, I'm not telling you this because I want to get a commission check. And what people don't realize, even people that would be in my downline, that I would be making a commission check, I'm not telling them this because I get to make a commission check, for crying out loud. I'm telling them this because I want to save their life. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to save your life, and I'm not joking, because this will save your life. It's not because it's water, and this is something we always have to do as like a disclaimer to keep ourselves on the good graces of the Fraud and Death Administration and Enagic themselves, is that we are not, the magic is this thing right here. This is the magic. This is the miracle. This machine right here. That machine that's on your countertop, it's not magic. It's not a miracle. What it is just a gift and a tool that was given to us by God and Mr. Oshiro. And that's the important side of things, is that we, people that utilize this water, it does change their life because it gives their body what it needs so it can operate properly. And one thing I wanted to mention to you, Kristal, about your husband and his sleep apnea, I would recommend that every night before he goes to bed, that he drinks down about 16 ounces or so of nice, slow running 11.5 water. And this is what you do is you take that hose that comes out of the machine and you have it come up and around, you know, so it comes out of the machine and then goes up in like a J shape or a U shape or whatever. Have it go up like that. Turn the water on full blast. And when the little beautiful angel in the machine, when she says, decrease flow, then you decrease that flow and you run that flow back to where it's just coming out real nice and slow, just to the point where she's going to start telling you to increase the flow. And at that point, you stick your fingers under that water and you start rubbing them together.
Right.
You will feel that water turn slippery. And as soon as that water turns slippery, now it's time to drink. Now it's time to put it on your veggies. Now it's time to fill your water bottle up with it or whatever. And then also you can, at that point, you can start filling up the 2.5 water containers as well for that disinfectant. But you want to give it, sometimes it can take as long as like 45 seconds before that water actually gets to the point where it's ready to be collected, where it's ready to use, where it's ready to drink. And have your husband every night, last thing before he goes to bed. What I always try to do, because I always drink 28 ounces, because my source water here where I live is so powerful. We don't have any kind of chemicals whatsoever in our water. It's a deep well aquifer that leaches all kinds of natural minerals into our water. And I get a huge negative ORP out of my 9.5 water. When I run it really slow, my 9.5 water tastes like the 11.5 water. But I don't need to use the 11.5 I've found. From all the tests I've been doing and things I've learned over the last month, I've learned that your water source has a huge part to play in how powerful your water is that comes out of your machine. And I get this super powerful 9.5 water that literally, the highest I've measured was a negative 867 off of my 9.5. And most people don't even get, you know, off of their 9.5, like my upline Tim, he gets, the best he gets out of his 9.5 is like a negative 450. And I'm getting a negative 867 out of mine. So I drink every night before I go to bed. I try to wait to go to bed until I've drank enough water where I need to pee before I go to bed. And so before I actually go pee, I go in and it's time to go to bed. I go in and I have this 14-ounce glass that I fill it up twice. I run it really super slow and fill that baby to the top, guzzle it down, fill it to the top again, guzzle it down, go in, take a pee, and I am out like a light. And I never used to be able to sleep on my back. My wife would always be waking me up because I'd be, you know, snoring up a storm. And she'd always have to roll me over. And then I was like a tornado in bed. I would rip the covers off. She would have, in the morning would wake up and I'd have all the covers and she'd be like, give me some covers back, you know. Now, since I started drinking Kangen water, I sleep on my back every night. And our little angel kitty, she sleeps right in between my legs. And I fall asleep right there on my back and I wake up 6 hours later or less, still on my back. Just in one spot. I don't even move at all. When I go to bed, it's just like, out. He is out for the count, baby. And he is sleeping like a rock. And the snoring is gone. And I never get woke up by my sweetie telling me to roll over anymore. And I know for a fact the reason is because every night before I go to bed, I take down that 28 ounces of that super slow running 9.5. And what you can do to determine whether or not you need to use the 11.5 for your husband or not is simply, if you don't have an ORP meter, you want to get one. You want an ORP meter. They are a crucial tool for this business and for your machine because they'll save you money. You can get one for $125 US from ionfaucet.com. And I highly recommend that you get one of those, because when your machine tells you to replace your filter, you can utilize your ORP meter and some chlorine drops. If you're on a well, you might not have any chlorine in your water, so the chlorine drops aren't going to be useful to you. Like for me, I don't have any chlorine in my water, so I don't need to test my water for chlorine. But for people that do have chlorine in their water, the Kong machine will take that chlorine, the filter will get that chlorine out of there. And one of the ways you'll know whether it's time to replace your filter or not is by doing a chlorine test. When the lady says replace filter, you do a chlorine test. And if there's chlorine in your water, then you got to replace your filter. If there isn't, if there's no chlorine, then you want to test your ORPs from the 11.5 to 2.5. And those ORP readings that you get, those will tell you whether you need to use the 11.5 for your husband at night before he goes to bed, or whether the 9.5 is going to be okay. Like if you've got the kind of water I do, and you're getting a negative 800, a negative 850 out of your slow running 9.5, then you're not going to need to use the 11.5. And so, you can test that out. And the reason I recommend that is just because the 11.5 water, when you hit that button, it uses that electrolysis enhancer, and that electrolysis enhancer costs money. And so, the 11.5 water is a little more expensive than the 9.5 water. So if you don't need to use it, why use it? But I always used to drink the 11.5 before I would go to bed. I would run myself that 14-ounce glass of 11.5 and drink that right before going to bed, and just, it just knocks you out. And so that's what I just wanted to give you that little tidbit to potentially help your husband, because I firmly believe that if he follows that protocol. And another protocol I would recommend to him right now, while he's still suffering from this sleep apnea thing, is to, once again, you can test your water to find out whether you need to do this or not. But I would recommend, if you've got, a normal ORP like most people have, then you're going to want to use the 11.5. And what I recommend is about 8 to 12, maybe 14 ounces of the 11.5 first thing in the morning, and then again in the noon time, about in the afternoon, do it again, another 12 to 14, 16 ounces, and then the last thing before you go to bed, the same thing with the 11.5. And then during the day, he wants to try and be drinking as much water as he can, so that every time he pees, this is my protocol. Every time I take a pee, I go drink another 14 ounces. And every time I pee, I drink another 14 ounces. And that usually has me peeing like 10 to 20 times a day. So that gives me somewhere between a gallon and 2 gallons, a little more than a gallon, maybe a little more than 2 gallons every day that I'm drinking. And so that's how I roll with it. But if I were somebody that was suffering from something like sleep apnea or, any other kind of things, you want 11.5 in the morning, you want 11.5 in the afternoon, you want 11.5 at night, followed by a constant flow of 9.5 all day long every time you pee. And, like Dr. Ross says, he says, if you're not peeing 20 times a day, you're not drinking enough water. And
I think that might be a bit of, like I was born with only one kidney. My whole family has kidney problems. My grandma passed away from kidney failure. Oh, I wish I knew about Kong water back then, honestly. She, she started off with hemochromatosis and an allergy to the sun. And she used to have to glove up to the nines and scarves and big brim hats. And she'd almost looked like she was setting out to rob a bank every day, And then eventually it worked her way to kidney failure, and she was on dialysis. And they normally only give you 3 years on dialysis, and she pushed it to almost 7. And she went in to have her tube changed one day, and when they put her under, her heart just stopped and she passed on. And so, I've always been so concerned with my one kidney and getting kidney stones. And like I said, I would drink coffee morning, noon, and night. And then I'm realizing, what am I doing to myself? So I'm wondering if I need to be on that kind of same regime then too, because I, you know, like I can tell when I don't have enough water, as you can, like the color, you know, that you like, oh, it's should not be on that darker scale, you know, and I would say 95% of the time I am. But I, you know, noticed yesterday was bad. I maybe had one glass of water yesterday. And at the end of the day, I could, like, I was just like mad at myself. I went to the bathroom before I went to bed and I'm like, "Okay, stop it, Kristal." You know, like I'm scolding myself now instead of giving everybody else heck for, you know, everything. But, so I think maybe I need to be on that kind of routine as well. And I do believe we have more chlorine in our water here, because I've friends, I've only been living, I'm in Saskatoon, so if you know anybody in Saskatoon that wants water, I can help out. But I've been told, you know, like before you water your plants, leave the water out for 24 hours so that chlorine can dissipate out of the water. So I've been doing that actually for the last few years. So it's but I haven't tested mine yet for the chlorine. I tested the pH, and our water was sitting at a 7 here in Saskatoon. And then you know, the Kong water, and oh, it was a beautiful purple.
Yeah, that's really important, and I definitely would recommend that you try to work that protocol as best you can. I know sometimes people have work situations where they simply, like my sweetie, she can't do that, because if she's at work, she can't be running off to go pee every 20 minutes, every half hour when she's stuck in that check stand all day, and so she just simply can't work that kind of protocol. And some people might not be able to do that, but the goal is to try to do as close to that as possible. And I think the biggest, most important thing is always to make sure that before you go to bed, the last thing you do before you go to bed is drink yourself, you know, 16, 20 some odd ounces or so, as much as you can handle. And another thing that's really important about this water, just FYI, is if you can drink it, like when I'm at home, I never, ever drink this water out of a water bottle. I always drink all of my Kong water right out of the machine. Right out of the machine. Because literally the second that this water comes out of the machine, it starts, you know, it's the grapes get separated off the vine. They get plucked off of the grapevine. But then as soon as they get plucked, they start slowly working their way back onto the grapevine. And you end up with that cluster of grapes again. And you're basically, after that water has been out of the, you know, out of the machine for 48 hours, you're taking this cluster of grapes and going, trying to shove it down your throat. Well, instead of taking each grape and throwing each grape in one at a time, you're trying to shove the whole cluster in your throat is what that amounts to. And so the more you can drink the water when you're at home, always try to drink it right out of the machine instead of drinking it out of a bottle, if you can. That's another thing that Dr. Barry Ah recommends. And I've learned a lot from him, a lot from Dr. Michael about the different properties of this water and why it does what it does. And that's one of the things that once you understand what this water does and how it works, it makes so dang much sense. Nothing, I'll tell you what, nothing that I hear surprises me. Nothing. Because, you know, like Dr. Barry Ah says, he says there are no incurable diseases. None. There is a point of no return. Sometimes you get to a point where you've let it go so long that there is no turning it around. But even situations like that, like with Bill Powers, where, you know, stage 4 throat cancer, you go home and die. We've already poisoned you as best we can. Time for you to go home and die. 10 years later, here he still is. 4 months later, he was cancer-free. All because he did one thing, changed his water, changed his life. And so we know the power of this. We know how much it affects people's lives. We get to see it every single day. And I'm to the point now after 2.5 years where nothing at all surprises me. And you know, just understanding how this water works, what it provides, how the human body works. Like another thing that Dr. Oz said that always hit me really hard, and I'm a real emotional person too. I cry about everything. I even cried at Rocky V. But the first time I watched his video, I cried through the whole thing. I literally was bawling my eyes out the whole time watching this 50-minute video. And the reason why is because he was born sick. He was literally born sick. He had every kind of system problem that you can think of throughout his whole life until he was in his early 40s and he found Kangen water. When he found Kong, that's when everything changed. And it's a tremendous story, and I highly recommend, you know, searching Dr. Barry Awe, A-W-E, if you haven't already done that. But he said, anybody who thinks this machine is expensive simply does not understand how the human body works, period. And, you know, this machine is not expensive. I always tell people, Kong doesn't cost. He pays. He pays. He pays in more ways than one. Not only does he pay you paychecks, but he pays you in life. He pays you in health. He pays you in spirit and mind. He pays you with incredible people that are part of this journey. And, you know, he pays. He doesn't cost a dime. And that's something that people just need to understand. Once they understand the value, then it's like, what a no-brainer. And so I want to, you know, we've been in here for quite a while, and I sure appreciate all your time. And I'm, you know, for me, I'll sit in here and yammer with the kids for as long as they want to talk. But I'd imagine you've got some things you got to get moving on today. But I want to just ask you this final question that I love to ask everybody, because I'm always intrigued by the answers that I get from this one. And that is, you've got somebody that's potentially interested in Kangen water, and you got one thing that you can say to them. Just one. What is it?
This is like nothing you've ever heard of before. And them knowing me and all the things that I've read into and all the things that I've tried over the last 18 years now, you know, this here has potential beyond anything that you can really imagine. And, you know, if you give yourself an hour, sit down and let's talk about it and really listen to the testimonies. And I think, you know, it's beyond anything that you could imagine. I guess that would be where I would kind of start it with, is just like, it's unreal how change your water, you change your life. And everybody has their own little catchphrase, and, you know, but behind those catchphrases, I always find there's a clause, there's a but, or you know, there's something, you know, it's, oh, well, I can't have that because it's got this ingredient in it and blah, 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 blah. You know what? You use your tap day in and day out. You use your tap all the time. So this is no difference than what you're doing now. Just add this beautiful little attachment to it and see the change in your world. That would be kind of where I would approach it from. So
I love that question so much, because the answers that we get to that question are so fascinating. Just all the different little golden nuggets. Probably more golden nuggets come out of this show because of that question than any other part of this show. You know, just little things to think about that you can utilize as you run around talking to people about this, and people that are listening in that are distributors or considering becoming distributors. They get a lot of value out of that question, and I really appreciate that particular response. That's the first time anybody's ever said that. And that's, you know, it's always such a unique answer. People, like yesterday, Yvette and her daughter, Kathleen, I asked them that question, and they both looked at each other, and they're like, you know, it was like something out of the Family Feud. You know, what should we say? What's the answer? You know, that was so cute.
You probably gave them a bit of anxiety.
Exactly. Yeah, you got one thing. What is it? You know. So yeah, that one's always a lot of fun, and I really appreciate that. And the other aspect of this show that is a really, really important part of this for me is I want to unite people. I want to help people who resonate with people hook up with the people that they resonate with. I always, like I said earlier, I think I've probably sold more machines for other people than I have for myself. And that makes me feel great, just because I know that I just understand how the laws of attraction work and the laws of positivity and the laws of, you know, if you're doing the right thing, then the right things are going to come around and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So a big part of this that I think when people come onto this show or considering coming onto this show, they're thinking, yeah, you just want to, you know, build yourself up or whatever. And the truth of the matter is I want people that are seeing this, that they're like, wow, this gal Kristal, man, I got to hook up with her. What she just said just hit me right in the heart like an arrow, you know, and I need to hook up with her. So I would like you to give out whatever kind of contact information you want to, because how are they going to get hold of you? They don't know where you are, how to get hold of you, right? And I want to also let everybody know, as kind of a caveat to that, if you're going to send Kristal a message on Facebook or you're gonna send her a friend request or something like that, please do her the common courtesy of just telling her why. Say, hey, you're awesome. I saw you on the Kong Family Show, and I really resonated with what you had to say. Blah blah blah. You know, just let her know, so that don't just send her a friend request. And I say that because I'm trying to get people to teach other people. Hey, quit sending friend requests without a message along with them. It's rude. And you know, have a little common courtesy. Let people know why you're getting hold of them. You're gonna give her a phone call. If you're gonna give her an email or whatever, you're gonna just tell her why. And so anyway, with all that said, Kristal, I would love you to, if you want to, and this is always completely up to the guest what information they want to give out. But you know, if you've got websites, you got emails, you got phone numbers, you got, you know, Twitter handles or Facebook handles or whatever you want to give out, so that those people out there who want to hook up with you can, you know, fire away.
Yeah, I'm basically mainly on Facebook. All these other apps and social medias, like, oh, I go on Instagram and I'm just like, oh, I don't know how to do this. I get my 12-year-old to teach me. It's pathetic. So yeah, I'm actually Kristal Dawn on Facebook, and inbox me. And I have to say, you know, like, I heard you say that a couple weeks ago about, you know, like, send that message. A couple days after that, I must have made a comment on some natural medicament or I don't know if it was like a CBD or, you know, because now here in Canada we're legalized, if it was a comment in support of, you know, like personal choice. This lady just friend requested me out of the blue. I'm not one to just add people, you know, like I want to spread the word, but I'm always leery, because as a child, my friend, when the internet first came out, had someone ask all those small questions and found out where she lived, and ended up showing up at her house and saying, well, she said that, you know, like, we're friends and this is an old man and we were teenagers, and, you know, and I don't know why, but I still have that lurking in the back of my mind. And I messaged the lady and I was just like, hey, you know, I noticed you sent me a friend request. Are we a mutual friend in a mutual group together? You know, like, what made you want to send me a message? Oh, well, I saw that you liked dogs. Like, okay. I like dogs that are other people's dogs. You know, like, I love dogs. I love scratching them. I love cuddling them. But when they're other people's dogs, I love them a lot more. So it's like, you know what? I'm just going to decline this request, because this seems like she's fishing for something. And when I looked at her page, yeah, sure enough, she was a multi-level marketer, which I'm not against at all. But it was like, just almost like she was doing a cold call. so to say, you know, and it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I was like, no, I don't think that, you know, like, and so I told her, I said, you know, like something that we do in our company is make sure that we send a message with our request. Just say, hey, something you said resonated with me. I'd love to chat with you, you know? So I definitely agree. And I think it's a good thing to keep mentioning that. So
Yeah.
I am open to new friends. Just let me know where you found me.
So yeah, there you go, kids. You can get a hold of Kristal on Facebook. Make sure to let her know, because she's just like the rest of the Kong family. We're here to help each other. We're here to help people, and we don't even care whether they're in our line or in our group or whatever. You know, it's like Sean and I, my partner in crime. You know, he and I, we work together pretty much every day. We have been for over a year now. And we're not on the same squad, but we're in the same league. And we love helping each other. We love working with each other. We're always picking each other's brains. And then, of course, we're usually always on here together having some fun with the guests. And, you know, he's a tremendous asset. And that's basically what this whole family of people is. It's just a tremendous asset for helping people change their lives. And, you know, having you and Rachel on here today has really been quite the gift. It's so neat. You guys are such powerful angels, and heck, I don't even think you guys have realized yet just how powerful you are and what, you know, how you're going to really change people's lives. And like a post I put up on Facebook just this morning after the morning motivation, I said, if you want to change the world, you got to start first with your world. And when you change your own world, it makes it a lot easier to go out there and help other people change theirs. And so it's quite the blessing that we've got going on here. And with all that, Kristal, I'd like to just give you one last opportunity if you want. If there's any last thing that you would like to leave people with before we depart on this day and go out and have an awesome day. Do you have any last little nuggets that you want to jump out there or anything like that?
Well, I think that anyone that's on the fence, it's okay, stay on that fence, but keep listening, you know, like keep your ear open, keep your mind open, and know that there is more to life than what we have all been trained to think. And it's ask questions. No question is a dumb question. I've got a couple questions that, you know, like sometimes I'm sitting here thinking, going, well, I don't want to ask that because I've been listening long enough. I should know that answer. Well, it's not worth sitting there wondering, you know, because you're not going to find out your answers. You're not going to educate yourself. You're not going to advance and learn more if you just kind of think those thoughts, but don't find those answers. So even if you're on the fence and you got a small little question, just ask somebody, you know, and try the water. Try the water. That's my biggest nugget. Not even a little nugget, big nugget.
Love that. Yeah, you know, you see that, kids? You guys see why I love this place so much? You guys see how blessed I am to be here day in and day out to get this stuff. And, you know, this stuff is so heartwarming for me, you guys, and I really appreciate you taking the time and coming in here, getting out of your comfort zone. And I really hope that it gives you some benefit from just doing it, and it'll make it easier for you to do it in the future. And I'm just so grateful that you guys are willing to do this kind of thing. And it's just such a great thing for my heart and for my mindset and for my life to be able to associate with winners like you guys, with true life angels that are out there amongst us. And I get to visit with them every single day. And so, you know, I'm eternally grateful for everything you guys do. And just got to tell you, I love you guys so much. And it's just a great thing having this family. It's such an incredible blessing. And so once again, we are the Kong family, kids. And we are here to do what? We're here to change the world. How are we doing that again?
One glass at a time.
9.5 at a time.
There we go. One lightning bolt in a box and one awesome individual and family at a time. So thank you so much, you guys. Have yourselves an awesome day. Go out there and rock somebody's world. Rock your own world. Have a great day. And of course, do not forget your hugs. Do not forget those. You gotta have them. All right, you guys, have a great one. Much love, and until we meet again.
Thanks,
care.
JJ. Have a good day.
You're welcome.
See you,
Have a
Rachel.
great one.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to chat with you on here.
Yes. HooooDeeeHooooooo.
Have a good day, guys.
You too.